All right, so welcome in everybody to the final day of the SpeakHER Series, highlighting women's basketball and female coaches in Canada. Thrilled, two speakers today. First one out of Mount St. Vincent, Maria Carroll. So first off, thank you for taking your time to do this. How are things on your end before we dive in and get started?
Well, thanks for having me. And good. I mean, it was a nice sunny day here. The restrictions are being lifted a little bit, so things are looking up.
That's good. It's like we're still in Ontario, so we're kind of behind the times a little bit. Some of our cities just opened this week for phase 2. We're kind of behind the times a bit, but we're getting there. We're moving along. Kind of just jump right in then. We'll kind of start off with your playing career, kind of what got you started in basketball, kind of what led you ultimately to Mount St. Vincent and ultimately a 5-year career. Just kind of take us through kind of your career as a player before we get into the move to the coaching side of things.
So I started playing basketball when I was like 4 years old. My mom was my first coach and only coach for a while.
Okay.
Just played basketball my whole life, provincial teams, club teams, school teams. I played other sports too, but basketball was the one that I kind of gravitated towards the most. And like a lot of athletes at a certain age, you kind of have to, if you're going to pursue one, you're going to have to pick just one. So that happened halfway through, or when I was around 12 or 13, I kind of made that decision. Went to a small school, so ended up playing on the boys team in high school for 2 years because we didn't have enough for a girls team.
Oh, okay.
So it was definitely interesting. We weren't very good. Clearly, they had a girl on the team, so it was like, we weren't the most athletic or tall or best team, but we were good.
Just anybody who can play, we'll take on the team at this point.
Yeah, there wasn't very many people in our high school, so if you could like run, you could be on the team, kind of. But we did have some good, like a solid 5 or 6 players that actually knew like how to play basketball. It was just after that we kind of got a little weaker. But and did like graduated high school and didn't really care to play basketball in university. I applied to go to the Mount to do PR, which was like the only school in Canada or Eastern Canada that offered that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mark Forward reached out to me and was like, I heard you're coming and you play basketball, so why don't you play for us? And it kind of took me a couple of months to be like, do I really want to do this? It's a big commitment.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately I was like, you know what, there's no harm. I can try it out. If I hate it, it's a good experience at least. Absolutely loved it, obviously.
Yep.
And then was going to play 4 years. I graduated in like on time and everything in 4 years, but then we didn't win in my 4th year. So I decided that, I still had 1 more year left. So came back for my 5th year, which obviously was worth it because we ended up winning.
Yep.
But yeah, that was kind of basketball. It's been in my life forever kind of thing. So it kind of seemed like a no-brainer looking back that I would have played, but in the moment I think I was being a little stubborn.
So you look at how it ended. You had 3 straight trips to nationals, 2017, 18, 19. You ended up CCAA All-Canadian, and you were our fan-voted Women's Player of the Year in Canada. When you were coming out of high school and you didn't see yourself playing post-secondary basketball to now, did you ever see this as your future?
No. Like even in my 5th year, even in the league, like I would, in my first couple of years, I would maybe be at the banquets and you see the All-Star Awards get called up and I'd be like almost like starstruck, like, wow, they're so good.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they called my name and I was like, what? Like these people are supposed to be really good at basketball. Like they were like the top of the league, but I guess like the more you play, like the better you get, and then you're getting older and stronger and smarter. So it kind of makes sense. But no, I even receiving those awards like afterwards being in sort of like in shock, like did that really happen? But I would say that even though a lot of the awards are individual awards, basketball is a team sport, so it's like you can be as good as you want, but you need to have people around you to like still pass you the ball and play the defense that you need in order to get the steal or whatever it is. So definitely I credit a lot of that to how strong our team was in those 3 years.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that weren't able to bring home the gold nationals, but just that experience of having 3 straight trips, I think that's something not a lot of people can say that they have to their name, and then you cap it off with the All-Canadian and everything else that came with it. Is there one memory that kind of stands out to you from your career over others, or is it just like a collection of little things that kind of make it all one big memory when it's all said and done?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot. Like, I think I underestimated the value of just going to practice and just sitting there a half hour early, putting your sneakers on, like just hanging out. Like that was the part that was like fun. Like I look forward to it, to practice every day, which not everyone does look forward to practice, but I definitely did. We do exit interviews at the Mount. Like all senior players do, they make a little video of it and they ask you like, what's your favorite mystic moment?
Okay.
And I remember we did our interviews before we had won playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept on saying, I'm like, well, it hasn't happened yet. So like, I'll let you know. So like winning was definitely obviously a highlight. Yeah. But I remember our first trip to nationals in my 3rd year in Edmonton. That was super fun because we all got to go on a plane. We like flew across the country for a week.
Yeah.
We came 7th. Like we didn't do that great, but we were that was our first experience, and that prepared us for like the following years because we kind of got like a taste of what it was like to play on that stage. So I would say that trip was like the most fun, but I think it's just all the memories and winning, of course.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into it, like you said, like the getting ready for practice, then the little things that go into it that most people don't see. Like everyone sees the games, and that's about it. There's a lot of those road trips or flights cross country for a national tournament for the first time in your career, and a lot of those little behind the scenes moments are probably the ones that most people remember more than the on court games, and they're probably the ones
Definitely.
that mean more than anything else.
Yeah, even just walking through school, like the Mount is pretty small, so like just seeing your teammates in the hallway, or players on the men's team or the soccer team or whatever it is, like just having that sense of community while at university, where it can be, I'm sure, quite lonely for some people if they go somewhere and they don't have very many friends, but you're automatically in this group of people that you can just smile or say hi to. If you're in class, you see them, you can sit next to them. So it's a lot more than just the games, for sure.
Makes it a lot more feel like home. And like you said, university, like it could be lonely for a lot of people, and fortunately the Mount's not a very large school, but heaven forbid you're at a larger school like a Western university or something where you're a face and you're just a student number in a crowd, a herd of people.
Yeah.
At least this, like you see your friends all the time, the athletes, and makes it that much more memorable because you get to hang out with all your friends more often than you would at a bigger school in a bigger city where you just get lost. And like
yeah, exactly.
Like I went to a university in my hometown for a year. Like I'm from London, so I went to Western for a year, and even being in my hometown, like it was not fun. Like it's just hordes of people all the time. You're looking for anybody and you're lucky if you find one a day. And
yeah.
Heaven forbid.
I definitely think at the Mount it was like every day. I know it sounds cheesy, but you were like making a memory or like doing something. You never felt alone. You never felt like, oh, this sucks. There's always something there exciting or fun to do.
Yeah. When did you realize that you wanted to get into coaching? Is that first off, is coaching like an end goal for you, or is that just kind of something that kind of fell into place at the time?
So I think for me, it just seemed like a natural progression. It was like you play and then you coach, like, because you kind of run out of, I mean, you can still play in women's leagues and things like that, but you run out of that time of like competitively playing. So it just seemed like the natural progression is to coach. So when I was finishing high school and I didn't think I was going to play basketball, I started coaching just like an under 14 club team. It wasn't anything, too serious or whatever, but it just seemed like the natural progression. And then when I started playing, obviously I couldn't coach like full time because I was playing full time, but
that's true. I
coached in the summer and stuff, like just to keep in touch with the game. And it was honestly fun. Like I still find coaches fun. I was able to coach with my teammates So it was kind of like we'd get to hang out and we'd have this team and we'd play basketball. So it just kind of seemed like a natural progression. And I think specifically for basketball, like being a point guard, you have that sort of like court sense and knowledge. Not saying that like if you're a post you don't have that, but definitely being a point guard, you have like a different view of the game. So it definitely helps like translate from playing to coaching.
Kind of as you look back in your playing career and you make that transition into coaching, you kind of touched on it there with being the point guard and kind of has that, you already have that leadership capability to a sense. What did you kind of see in yourself that you thought, okay, coaching might be for me down the road? Like what stood out about your game or your progression that thought, okay, this is something I want to pursue at least for this year?
Well, I even remember at like a young age, and my parents told me the story. I think I was in grade 4, and we had some like coach come in. Like it was just a club, like a house league thing. It was just someone's parent, just helping out. Yeah. And he asked us to do this move, and I was like, that's a travel. I was like only like 7 or 8 years old, so I think I just like my parents to like help me understand the game at such a young age. So I had that like foundation to be like, this is good, this is bad kind of thing. And then just having so many coaches over the year, like teach so many skills and so many little like pointers and things like that, I kind of just held on to it and carried it with me. So I feel like I have like a decent, like bag of knowledge that I have with me, but obviously there's still so much more that I can learn. I think every coach feels that way. You can constantly be getting better, but I felt like I had a good foundation even from a young age.
I was going to say, especially when you're 7 or 8 calling out your coach for a travel. I don't think many kids would be, sir, that's a travel? Ma'am, that's a travel? I don't think anybody would call them out.
When I hear that story, I'm like, that doesn't sound like something I would do anymore. But I guess at that age, I was very passionate that was a travel.
When you know, and you see the videos like that online all the time of kids just calling out, or like kids say the darndest things, like no filter. You're just like, most kids are going along with the drill. There's you, front of the line. No, that's a travel. I'm not doing it. You got to do it right. And looking back now, I mean, you had that passion from a young age, and now you're coaching at the school you played 5 years at, and you can maybe attribute some of that trajectory to whoever told you to do a drill that was a travel. And look at you now.
Yeah.
What's been the most challenging part for you transitioning from playing right into coaching? What's been the toughest part of that for you?
So that was definitely something that I was like conscious of from the very beginning. I even remember like having conversations in the summer before, being like, I need to try as hard as I can to establish the fact that 6 months ago we were teammates and we were laughing and in the drills together, but now I'm kind of on the other side of it, which is definitely an adjustment, because you walk into the gym and they're your friends over there like getting ready, and you kind of like want to go over and hang out, but I'm like, no, I need a plan for practice. Like I have a job here that's different than their job. So I think just being aware of that was helpful, and like kind of being conscious, just making those decisions like, no, I shouldn't do that. Yes, I should do that. So it was challenging, but also I think it helped being in a leadership role in my last few years at the Mount. The younger player, like there was already sort of that dynamic. Yes, I was their teammate and all that stuff, but that dynamic was almost already formed. So when I made that transition, I guess it just wasn't as much of a leap. It was still a big leap, but it was like I was bridging my way there. There was definitely times that it was hard. Like they were all having fun, and I'm like, I want to go hang out, but I was like, it's not my role, it's not my job. But I definitely think it's going to get easier. Like this coming season will be easier, and like the more time that I do it, and like the players that graduate and leave, it'll be like in a couple of years I won't have any players that I played with. So that's definitely going to get easier.
Yeah. You see everybody coming like in the gym getting ready like you used to, and then you walk in, you look over and they're all smiling. You're like, you have to go to the coach's side, and it's just the little things, like you said, you look forward to like the practices and putting your shoes on and getting ready, and now all of a sudden you're coming in with a plan and you're running the practice. And I don't think you could have had a better person to learn from though than Mark. I think his place in Canadian coaching, I think it speaks for itself. And being kind of talk about the CCAA female apprentice coach program a bit. I'm not sure many people are familiar with what that entails. So if you don't mind explaining a bit about that and kind of what that has done for you to kind of get you into coaching.
Yeah, so basically it is for players that graduated from the CCAA, like played, finished for whatever reason, and then it's for their like transition into coaching at the university level or the college level. So it provides funding for like doing coaching courses and things like that, which is super beneficial because most people my age or when they just graduate, they don't have a lot of money to just kind of throw towards coaching courses when you're trying to, you know, get your feet on the ground. So that's super beneficial, even though it is tough to do them in season because we have games and practices and sometimes they're not offered at the greatest times, but the money is there to do that, which is really helpful. And it just provides, well, I think it just provides an opportunity for young females to get involved because there is this, you know, there is this program that it's encouraged to ask and to like have young women come on to the coaching staff. And it's just nice to have some, like Mark and I like tracked my progress and talked about getting more involved in this, and my role over my first year coaching definitely changed. Like as I learned more, and he was like, well, you need to do more things. So like it was like more responsibility was given to me. We kind of decided that we would continue it next year just because why not? Like we might not necessarily get the funding or anything like that, but just in terms of tracking progress, which is really helpful because if you're doing something and not measuring if it's successful or how you're doing, then there's really no point in doing it. I mean, you can still have a successful year, but how are you going to improve? So it's nice just to have that basis to just communicate on, okay, we need to get you more involved in this, or what are you comfortable with? Or like, here, it's your job to create this game plan and I have to do all the work kind of thing. Makes me appreciate how much work goes into being a coach because it's a lot. But yeah, it's awesome. I think they expanded it this year to offer it to like way more applicants. So you do have to apply for the program. And you have to like write a letter and like it's quite a process, but it's definitely worth it. And I would encourage anyone if they wanted to go into coaching, especially in the CCAA, to apply because it's there for that reason. So I found it super beneficial, and I'm glad that they're expanding the program so that more people can get involved for sure.
And it's one of those things too, like I've said with Robin, Lee, and Cheryl in the first 3 days of this is you got to just put yourself out there. The worst thing that they can say after you apply is no. And if you never try, you've never applied for it, you're never going to get it anyways. So the worst thing you can do is put yourself out there and say, okay, like just graduated, coaching seems like seems like something for me. Put your name out there. And then who knows what's going to happen. And like you said, now with them expanding it to more student athletes and programs and whatever, there's a lot of opportunities there for people to get into coaching. And I think it's a big way to get more females into coaching, having this program out there. Could you have taken it anywhere, or was it specific to the ACAA for you, or was there really any program you could have chosen essentially?
Yeah, so I know that like I have to be in the CCAA obviously because they're the ones providing the funding. But I think there was a girl that played, I want to say she played for NACE and then went to coach Old. So I think you can go anywhere within the CCAA, but like it just makes sense for me to stay where I was because
still
I knew I was pretty comfortable and didn't have like I wasn't going to move, you know, cities just to have a volunteer coaching game, but it made sense. And like knowing the program for that long, like definitely made the transition even easier because I wasn't having to learn a bunch of new plays or a bunch of new systems. It was like, I know this stuff now, I just have to teach it kind of thing.
Yeah, you just have to flip the switch, and now you're teaching and guiding and directing. And did you ever get having been like one season removed from playing, did you ever get the itch to kind of like you just want to jump in and play, and you have to kind of hold yourself back and be like, no, like I'm not playing anymore. They got to let them figure it out themselves.
Definitely. I think I actually got knee surgery in November, so I wasn't able to like play at all. I still can't play yet. So I think that made it hard because I was like, oh my God, I can't even go out and shoot with them. I can't even
Yeah.
have fun. But it also like made it a bit easier because it's like, well, I physically can't go out and do it. But there was definitely games where I was like, oh my God, just let me go out there and I'll just do it. Even though who knows if I could have been able to, but it just looked so easy from sitting on the sideline. I could just do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely different having to communicate and be like, can you go do this, and try to explain it instead of just going to do it yourself. So that was definitely a challenge sometimes, not necessarily having the words, just be like, just go do it.
Yeah.
But I think that's the challenge of coaching. And I feel like all coaches have those moments for sure.
Kind of, it gets a little bit easier as you get further along and you get further removed from your playing career, because then you don't have that itch as much to get back in and show them how it's done, essentially, for lack of a better term, teach them while they're young. What's it like having former teammate too and Kate on the bench with you?
Oh.
Has that eased your transition a little bit to having someone else who's in a similar position as you, of having gone from player to coach, so you can kind of maybe bounce some ideas off of or whatnot that way?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she's like my best friend too, so it kind of makes it like even more fun. Just to have someone, so we can kind of like have fun in practice. Sometimes we're doing a shooting drill or whatever. But it definitely helps because we've had like, it's nice to have someone there that you can have a conversation with that knows exactly what you're going through or how you're feeling, or if you're unsure, you have someone right there that's literally in your same shoes, just one year removed. So yeah, it definitely helps, and it makes the road trips a little more fun too, because I'm not just stuck by myself or anything. But we have an awesome coaching staff, like all four of us. Like, it's weird, we're like really good friends. Like, I enjoy, like, even though I don't get to go to practice and put my sneakers on, I get to go into like Mark's office and we'll just hang out and chat, talk basketball, have a laugh. So it is still really, really enjoyable.
What's next for you? Is it going to stay into coaching? Is it back to school? Is it something completely different off the board? What's next for you in kind of your career progression?
I wish I knew.
Okay. Yeah, don't we all?
I have no idea. I'm definitely still like I love coaching. I'm still definitely into that. I'm going to stick with it. I don't know how far it's going to take me. Like, I don't know if that's going to be a career or if it's going to be more of like a volunteer thing. I wouldn't want to give it up because I feel like it takes up so much of my free time, but I wouldn't know what I would do with all of that free time. Like, I don't, and like, I enjoy it. Like, I get excited to go to practice and stuff like that. So it's definitely still something that I'm going to like pursue further. And I'm enjoying, like, even doing coaching courses. Like, I'm learning a lot, and I feel like I'm at a good age to like absorb all of that and put it into like fruition kind of thing. But I don't know. Like, I would definitely be interested in getting a job in sports. I just don't know exactly what that looks like. But it'll take me some time.
I don't think anybody really truly figures out what they want to do. Like, there's no timetable or like set time for people to figure out what they want to do. In the sport industry, it's so broad. Like, there's so many avenues. Like, it's challenging to pinpoint one thing that, okay, I want to do this for the rest of my life, because there's so many options and so many things look so enticing, and it's tough. Like, I still don't know. Like, I have no clue, and I don't know if I ever will. Like, my mind changes every day. Like,
I know, and I think to get into like a head coaching position, that seems very challenging. Like, it's kind of like it only comes up every once in a while, and then are you willing to move? Like, I know a lot of people are, and I'm like, I don't know if like maybe in 10 years I might be, but like right now I'm like pretty happy like being on the East Coast and stuff. But if it's something that I'm super passionate about and want to pursue later on, maybe I will. But it's one of those things. There's limited opportunity to be a coach, so if it comes along, you kind of have to grab it. And I know I was watching another talk, like one of these Zoom calls a couple months ago, and it was based on like females, and they were saying that they failed so many times, that they had applied to so many coaching jobs and didn't get it, and then finally got one, and they were like, oh, this is perfect. You know what I mean? And then they realized, oh, I have to do the work now. Like, I have to do a lot of prep, and there's a lot of work that goes with it. So I think it's just kind of like whatever comes. Like, I'll see I'll watch myself and like figure out what I'm into, and if the opportunity presents itself, then that'd be great. But if not, we'll see. But I'm definitely going to like stick around in basketball, whether it's coaching at a university level or youth or whatever it is. I'm definitely going to stick around and be a part of the game.
Keep kind of one foot in the game, or at least a toe in it, so you get a bit of that basketball flavor in your life wherever it takes you. You're still kind of connected to what got it all started and when you were younger in the playing, and keeps you involved to some capacity, whether, and like you said, you don't want to force anything. If it comes, it'll come, and when it's supposed to. If it doesn't and life takes you somewhere else, then so be it. But like you said, you've got a great system at the Mount right now, again with Mark. I can't say enough good things about Mark, and just like the program itself. And to be honest, I don't know why you'd want to leave right now, because it seems like it's a pretty good fit for all parties involved.
Definitely. And I've even seen our program grow so much in the last 6 years. Like from my first year to where we are now, it's like even some of the systems that we were running were challenging. We were like, okay, we need to figure this out. Like we needed to rep it out so many times. And now those same systems that we're doing, it's just like everyone knows like the back of their hand. So it's like once you have the foundation, you can just, it feels like you can just kind of keep building, keep getting better and better, and keep adding. So it's really fun to be a part of, to know that, I was a player when it was growing, and now I could be part of the coaching staff to keep it growing and to keep challenging our players, not only on the court, but off the court as well. So it is really rewarding for sure.
So looking back at whether you were playing as a kid and your mom was your coach, or to high school, to playing for Mark for 5 years, is there one piece of advice that you've been given throughout that you kind of still live by today and try to instill now into the players that you do coach?
I don't know if I can think of like one thing, but I know obviously you can see right now my family's super supportive.
Yep.
And it was like there was no one ever really said no to me. Like I got cut from a team, and like I've had struggles like that, but no one ever was like, oh, you should give that up. And like there were like definitely people like haven't been as encouraging, but I found, Newfoundland is pretty small, so it's like people were very supportive, and if you were like on the provincial team or whatever it was, you were kind of seen as, successful. So I think people wanted to push that forward. Even like when I was going to the Mount, it was like my high school gym teacher that was one that reached out to Mark. So it's like if that never happened. So there was a lot of people along the way, and even still, that have been super supportive. So I can't say, like there's so many of them that have helped me. I don't know if there was like a phrase or anything like that, or like a piece of advice. I think it was just the amount of people that would support you and lend you like a hand when you needed it and open the doors for you, which I know that not everyone gets that. So I know that that's like super lucky to have all that support, whether from family or coaches or whoever.
Yeah, it's the same thing you've seen from the first 3 days this week, is like a strong support network is key. Like it's crucial to have to keep your progression going. And all it takes is for one person to say yes, to kind of give you that extra bit of a push and motivation, whether it's parent, sibling, coach, a neighbor. It's just somebody that sees something in you to say, okay, yeah, keep going with this, keep pushing. Because I think, especially now, too many younger athletes and people in general hear no once, and then they take it personally, and they shut down and give up. I don't think there's as much drive in some of the younger generation that there should be. Like, I'll be honest, the amount of times I've heard no or don't with doing stuff like this, if I would have stopped after the first one, like you can't like, no doesn't hurt you. It's a 2-letter word. Like, I don't know how many times I've said that this week, probably way too many, but it's 2 letters, and just use it as motivation, I guess. But like you said, having that strong support network behind you, and as we can see here, the family is out to support you now with this too.
Yeah.
I think it's clear that everybody in, like, they're all behind you. Whatever you want to pursue, they're going to be right there beside you, kind of guiding or helping you figure out where you want to go.
Definitely. And especially if you do get a no, to have someone say, okay, well, try this instead, whether that's trying out for another basketball team, or even if it is, at a young age, pursuing another sport, or like whatever avenue you choose. But if somebody is there to say, here's another option, or try again, or whatever that might be, just having, instead of no, being like, well, give up, because that you'll never get anywhere.
No. Like, imagine if Michael Jordan quit when he got cut in high school. Like, where would basketball be now? Where would he be now? Who knows? Yeah. And all it took was for his mom to say, we're going to put in the work in the summer. One person.
Yeah, and it definitely teaches resilience too, to be like, yeah, you got no, but like if you work harder and you really want to do this, that you can succeed. It might not be the same way you thought you would have succeeded, but you can still like succeed in your own way.
There's a lot of life lessons you can learn from someone saying no. And you learn a lot about yourself too. Like you said, resilience, dedication, hard work, adapting to something different, whatever it may be. You can learn a lot from 2 letters.
Yeah, and it's not going to be the first time that you hear it. If you're going to hear it a lot more.
Hear it all the time. It's always going to be there. And if you shut down the first time you hear it, then it's not going to get any better the second or third time. And trust me, there's a second, a third time, there's a fourth time. It's a lot of times you hear that dreaded no.
Definitely.
What advice would you give then to the younger generation? So then maybe the players that you coached on the under 14 team that are kind of coming up towards their college decision down the road, or may want to get into coaching, or even younger than that, maybe want to get into basketball. Kind of what advice would you give them, or the next generation of female basketball players and coaches, to kind of keep going and keep pursuing what they want to do?
Definitely a few things. Obviously, depending on the age. Like I was coaching a U16 team, and there was a couple girls wanting to go to university and play, and I was like, well, you have to do good in school. You know what I mean? Like that can help you tremendously, whether it's scholarships so you don't have to get a part-time job, or just having a coach not have to worry about your schooling, or like, oh, is this player going to do well? And I think the one thing that I've learned too is that the most people that went to the Mount, I mean, we are very academically sound, but it's also, it helps when players pick programs that they're genuinely interested in. They're not just there to play basketball, because at the end of the day, you're in school more than you're playing basketball. And if you're playing basketball more than you're in class, you're probably not going to do that well.
You have a big problem.
Yeah. So I think it depends on the age. Like school is definitely important. And that's just being responsible student athlete, is just getting your schoolwork done. From the younger ages, I find sometimes there's a lot of excuses, and I'm like, just cut that out. You know what I mean? Like there's always going to be a reason. You can always come up with an excuse, but just kind of, to be blunt, do better, just work harder, do better. Even if you fail, if you're working and you're giving it all your effort, your failing is still going to be rewarding. You're still going to feel like I gave it my all, I tried my best, instead of that, regret of, oh, what if I'd done more? That's, no one wants to feel that. And like, sometimes you can carry that for a very long time. That feeling of regret. And then for like even for younger girls, I know, like, don't not do something just because you're a girl. You know what I mean? Like I played on the high school boys team because there was no girls team. Now that might be an exception. Like not everyone can play on their high school boys team, but don't take, like you said, don't take no for an answer. Like find a way to do it. Don't just say, oh, well, I'm a girl, so I can't. Like, no, play those sports, do what you're passionate about, and don't apologize, kind of thing. Because even I remember looking back, my high school, there was another girl that played on the boys team like 3 or 4 years later, and I was like, that's so cool. Like, I don't know if she would have done it if I didn't, but like she's doing it. You know what I mean? Like she took the bull by the horns and was like, well, I'm going to play on the boys team, which is really cool to see. So I think just for young girls, like playing sports is cool. Don't worry about like messing up your hair or whatever. Like do what you're passionate about, and like athletics can get you a really, really long way. Clearly. Here I am graduating university and coaching, so it really can. It can get you a long way. So just stick with it and don't give up, kind of thing.
I think the excuses is a big one, because if you leave it all on the field, the court, the ice, whatever, you can't make an excuse. Someone's got to lose a game. It's gonna happen. And if you left it all on the ice or on the field or whatever, they just play better. But you left it all out there. You can't really make an excuse of what if I did do more. You physically couldn't.
Yeah.
If you go out and half-ass it, for lack of a better term, you're gonna have those regrets, and that's so much easier to make an excuse. And if you skip a practice or you're playing basketball more than you go to class and you fail a class and you wonder, oh, why did I fail? Well, it's quick. You put athlete ahead of student. It's student athlete, not athlete student. Like, it's,
even though sometimes I wish it was athlete student.
It'd be nice. It'd be really nice.
Yeah.
If you could, have some times where you're playing basketball more than you have to go to class. If they kind of find that balance a bit more, make it 50-50, I think a lot more people would be happy and more people would go to class more often.
Definitely.
But kind of just, you got to prioritize, like, obviously academics, you need to have good grades to play. And if you don't go to class, you can't play. And then you wonder, well, why can't I play? Well, there's your reason.
You didn't do all the work, kind of thing.
You made excuses, or I can go next time, or I can get notes from whoever. It doesn't work like that. You got to put in the work to get the results. And like Cheryl said yesterday, and from Trinity Western, you got to put in the work to get it. You're not just going to get something handed to you on a platter. You got to earn it.
Yeah.
And as long as you leave it all on the floor, you can't ask yourself for more than that, than you're physically capable of doing. And
exactly.
If you put all you have into it, the results are going to come. But if you don't, that's where you run into trouble and you start blaming others. And really, it's a quick look in the mirror to see
where it went
reason.
Wrong, kind of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we've definitely had, we only had one championship when I was there. There was definitely times that we lost. It was heartbreaking, and there was tears were shed. But the message was always but I'd rather lose with you guys, kind of thing. We know that we put in all the work. We know that we took care of our school. We know that we, spent time volunteering. We did the whole student athlete experience, worked our butts off, had a great time doing it, and we just came short. I mean, it's only one team can win, but I don't regret the journey that we went on that season. Yeah. And that's even more important than winning, because if you went on a season where you weren't happy and you weren't like that, then the winning wouldn't feel as good. So it definitely feels better when you know that you put all the work in and you guys are a unit on the floor, in the classroom, supporting each other. No matter what, it definitely feels a lot better. And you also feel happier for other people's success when you're in a unit like that, like a program. If someone else gets a really good mark, it's oh my gosh, good for you. We're proud of you. We support you. We're happy for you. We're always celebrating everyone's success, because we know that we're all in it together. We are contributing to everyone's success, which is a really cool feeling. It's
one big family and one big support network. And one person does well, you enjoy it. Everybody enjoys it.
Yeah, and our team motto is one way together. So it's we're all in this together, and it's going to take all of us to get the job done. Because if one person doesn't buy in, it's not going to work. So we've had a lot of success because we just support each other on and off the court.
All it takes is one person to try and go the other way, or go take a left turn, or to slow everything down. And if, like you said, you guys support everybody. If one person gets a good mark, everybody celebrates the achievement. And all it takes is one person to kind of steer off that path. And I think you see that with a lot of teams that kind of have a few individuals that don't buy in, and it anchors the team down. And
definitely,
essentially,
I think our program's at a point now that if there is a straggler, it's we all kind of grab them. You're nope, you're coming with us. This is how we do it.
Regardless of what you want to happen, you're coming with us, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, it's if you need help in school, we'll help you. If you need to get extra shots up, we're there. We're doing this together. So if you're gonna fall behind, we're gonna pick you up and bring you with us, kind of thing. Which is, like I said, it's nice, it's refreshing, and it's a supportive environment that I don't think anyone would not like. I mean, how would you, everyone's there supporting you, helping you with every way they can, from our coaching staff to players to the athletic director to everyone. It's we're all here to help. So how can you not enjoy that kind of experience? Yeah,
if you come in and you leave thinking, how dare they all support me as one person? How dare they? Like nobody argued, nobody did. All they did was show support. How dare they do that? I don't think you'd have anybody that would say that.
No, definitely not.
One that came in off Instagram kind of ties back to your transition from a coach to a player and kind of treading that line between, like you already touched on a bit, friendship and coach. How are you kind of, like, what kind of went into your process? Like what was key for you to kind of tread that line, I guess, and kind of make that transition a lot easier? And it's from another player in Canada that's kind of looking to get into coaching. So kind of looking to get your perspective on the best way to approach it, I guess, for lack of a better way of explaining it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if the way that I approach it is the best way, but it's just the way that I did it kind of thing. I like really trusted I trust all my players, but like myself and Talia, who is going into her last year now, we were super close. We coached together in the summer, and I just remember having conversations with her like, I need you to help me kind of thing. Like, I know that you're a player, and I know that, like, you know, this might not be like the right person to lean on, but I was like, you know what I mean? Like, I want you to be able to say, we need more of you, we need less of you, and just have that open dialogue like between her and I, which was super helpful just because sometimes you don't know what the players are thinking. Even if you are friends with them, it's nice to have someone that can totally be brutally honest with you and say, we need you to do more, we need you to do less, we need you here, we don't need you here kind of thing. So having that anchor point, I mean, that was a blessing because I played for the program and I knew her very well and I trusted her. But I think it's just being conscious of it. Like, I think just knowing, okay, I need to make a conscious effort to, like I said, sit with the coaches, go over to the coaching side and, you know, not embark on all like what the team is doing. Cause like, they are my friends. Like if they had a birthday party, it was like, oh, I want to go. But I was like, no, like sometimes it was appropriate. Sometimes it wasn't. Like if it was anything basketball related, I was like, I'm not going, not my place.
Right.
Like if my coach showed up to like a party or, you know, a social event, I'd be like, what is he doing here? Like, what's going on? So it's like, even though I'm their friend, it's like, I had to cut that out kind of thing, which was fine. I mean, it was a decision that I made when I decided to coach. Like I knew that was going to be, you know, part of the bargain. But yeah, having someone that you can talk to and also having coaches to go to, you know what I mean? Be like, if you have a question or anything like that, it was a very open and like honest relationship. And I do think that there is an advantage to have played on the team previously because especially with the younger players, you know, I was the captain. So like I already sort of had that leadership role, but then they also felt comfortable enough to come to me if there was a problem or if they were like, I have a question or they wanted to ask questions that they didn't feel comfortable asking to anyone else. Like they knew that they could come to me. So there was that, like that relationship that wouldn't necessarily happen if I hadn't played with them or if I wasn't a female. So I definitely think that you can still use that to your advantage. Use the fact that you did play with them and that, you know, you do have a different relationship with them than, you know, I have a different relationship than Mark does. But using that to my advantage to be able to communicate with them, to be able to get down and figure out the problems that they don't necessarily feel comfortable talking about. So it is tough, but I think if you just try to use it to your advantage, you know, you can turn it into a really positive aspect of being on the coaching staff. It's like just bringing another skill set kind of thing. So if everyone was like a super good defensive coach, your team wouldn't be very good.
That's
you know
true.
What I mean? Like you need to have different levels and different relationships. So just using it to your advantage is, I guess, the best I could say. And just knowing that you're not going to be super easy. Sometimes it will be, and sometimes it won't. But it's going to get easier.
Yeah, I feel like it could be a really big benefit, like you said, to have that relationship with the players. Like they already have somebody that they can go to and feel comfortable talking to. And it could also go really sour really quick if you use your new title as almost a power trip and say, I'm a coach now. No, just you can't, like, we're not friends anymore. Like, I'm your coach and you're going to talk to me as a coach and you're going to address me as a coach. But could you imagine as a player, you're at a birthday party and Mark walks through the door? Like,
I mean, we're cool with Mark, but it'd be a little weird. I'd be like, why are you here?
Yeah, it'd be like, okay, like, oh, Mark's here. Oh, Mark's here. Okay, cool. But like that initial, like, coaches at players or like even like bosses at jobs showing up to like employees parties, or like if you work retail and
Definitely.
you're at a part-time party with like 20-year-olds and like you're 45, 50, like what why? Like
Yeah.
there's
And like
a time and place, like you said.
what they do in their spare time with each other, as
Yeah.
long as it doesn't hurt what's going on in the court, which it usually
Correct.
doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm like, you do your thing, enjoy it, because I did when I was
Yep.
playing. So
Oh,
like,
we all did.
have your moment, do your thing,
Yep.
and that's it. Like, as long as they're being responsible, which I know they are, because
Yep.
we have a really great group of girls. It's like, you do your thing, it's all good.
As long as no one gets hurt, doesn't affect the on-court product and like the hard work you guys put in, do your thing.
Exactly.
If it starts
and
to go ahead.
No, I'm just like, I think we were going to say if it starts to affect it, then it'll be something we have to address, but we've never really had that issue. So it's like, I'm cool with them. They're cool with me, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's tough, but it's definitely, it's every day is kind of you're navigating it as you go. But it's like I said, as a player, I had a lot of support there. And as a coach, I have just the same amount. So that's definitely helpful.
One last one before we wrap it up here for you. One I've kind of asked everybody so far just to kind of get different perspectives. How do we continue to grow the women's game in Canada? From U Sports, CCAA, grassroots, professional, even, the attention's not there. And the talent is, but the love, appreciation, attention that it deserves isn't. How do we continue to grow that to get it to a state where it should be, if that makes any sense?
Yep. Well, I think what you're doing helps for sure, just to be able to put it out there and to highlight what people are doing, because like you said, it's not getting the attention, but things are happening. The great things are happening. Great games are being played. Great players are having great moments. And it's like, just if we can keep highlighting that, then it becomes more attainable for younger players, because they can look and say, oh, look, she came from my town and look what she's doing. But I think a lot of it too is in that developmental stage to have, you know what I mean? Like, the more that we promote the university level, even the WNBA, you know what I mean? It's okay, there's my goal, and I can see it and I can watch it and I can aspire and I can learn from it. But at a developmental age, to just keep encouraging players to play and getting coaches in there and teaching them their skills. But then also, if a player goes and they switch teams at, 14, that's okay. You know what I mean? We can't get mad saying, oh, we cut them and then they went over there and played. Like, how dare they? It's like, no, that's what we want. The more people that we can get involved in the game and like at a higher level, even if we have multiple teams, it's better, because there's more people playing, which means there's more competition. So I think a lot of it, it's like two-tiered. It's promoting and highlighting and even getting games on TV or getting them online or whatever it is, promoting them that way, but also having, developmental age groups being able to look up to them and being given countless opportunities to play. And it's not like, oh, you're at this age now, so, it's this team or you don't play at all. Having other options is always helpful. Even being in Halifax, I've noticed there's more club teams than there is in St. John's, Newfoundland. So there's more people playing, so that there's more talent coming out of it, because there's more people to choose from. And I think even just the difference from St. John's to Halifax is a step in the right direction. And I hope that, every city and town can have a couple teams, so that there's competition and more opportunity.
It's one of those things that if you can't see it, can't really dream it. Like the WNBA, they still fight for the same treatment as the NBA, and we're starting to see more games on TV in Canada, at least. So young girls are seeing the Canadians like Kia Nurse and others actually on TV now, so they can be, okay, I want to, she's Canadian, I want to be like her one day. And even the CCAA, U Sports, there's so many talented players that come from all over the country to play at all these different schools. There's 112 schools in Canada that have, you say, 15 players a roster. There's so many players from all different places, walks of life, that there's going to be the up and coming a young player that it's like, oh, she is from my town and she went to play here. Well, I want to be like her. Like, I want to play somewhere. And there's no real coverage of it. So again, if you can't see it, you can't dream it. And I keep coming back to like the AUS and UPEI this year, wins bronze at nationals and isn't ranked all year. And there's just no consistency either with it. It's just kind of sporadic here and there. And I think there's a lot. It's there, and the product is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
We just need to get the bridge the gap and get the attention to where it needs to be. And
there's so many more opportunities now with just being able to send highlight tapes and being able to communicate with people across the country and FaceTime and all these things, that there's really, not that there's no excuse, but if you have a dream and you want to go down the States, or if you want to go out west in Canada, or if you want to go out east, if you have the ability to connect with those people on like so many more levels than, 20, 30 years ago. So we should be growing the game even at a faster pace because of those advantages that we have now.
Yeah, I think we'll get there one day. I don't know how quick. Hopefully we'll get there one day where it should be. But Maria, I want to thank you for doing this. It was a lot of fun and great to hear more about kind of your transition from player to coach. I think it's one that a lot of people can learn from. So really want to thank you again for taking the time to share your story. And we have one more chat tonight with head coach Krista Anajukin out of Ontario Tech. And that wraps up the SpeakHER Series. So thank you again and all the best, and look forward to see what you guys have in store in the future at the Mount.
Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate it and all the coverage that you do.
Well, thank you. I very much appreciate that. And we'll continue to do it until it gets to the level it needs to be.
Perfect.